Any sort of contact whatsoever will disqualify your laps. You cannot bump in any shape or any way, shape, or form to get a lap in, because it will disqualify your lap. So we'll have to see what these drivers do to deal with that. You're going to have to ride the brakes or something.
Yeah, or I mean, there's two methodologies. One is you just ride the brake, or the second one is you just let off the gas. And I feel like drivers, different drivers do different things. Some like to use the brake, some like to just kind of roll off the gas. It just really depends on who you are, what your situation is, and how much fuel you need to save, if any. As you see this 3-truck tandem there. They're the first trucks out on track. Digby, Paskowicz, and Dominic Lee. It's pretty much about a half of the straightaway back to Fernando Matos, Doug McCollum, Chris Roberge, Dave Wilson. There you see Matos leading that train. There's Roberge and Wilson, those two teammates. Alan Capers right behind those two. He's trying to suck up to the back of the number 98 and the number 20. So really, Alan Capers is in a pretty good spot here. He's hopefully just going to be able to suck up to these 4 trucks in front of him to see if he can get a really fast lap in. Although I'm watching Wilson and Roberge, they have an absolute killer lap going, 190 miles an hour at the line. And you see out front of Alan Capers, they're side by side with the 17 and the 33. And Roberge and Wilson do go to the top. That was an absolute stellar lap by those two, just locking bumpers and pushing as much as they could to get such a good lap in.
Yeah, and we're here on board with Alan Capers right now. He's in a pretty good spot right here because he has that huge pack in front of him, so he's getting all the draft off of them, and he's going to probably have a pretty quick lap here coming up. But we see in the turns here, it's 33 degrees banked at this racetrack. It's the most banked we have at any track. It's quite the thing to race on, because if we go on board with the gyro cam I saw just a minute ago, you can really see how steeply banked it is, and it's just it's pretty crazy when you're in the cockpit. I mean, you really don't feel it in the cockpit, but it's just when you see it in the gyro cam, it really comes into perspective how steeply banked this track is.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Alan Capers there trying to get a good run a little bit higher up, right on the back bumper of Doug McCollum. That's the check out, or just kind of check out just a little bit on the back of that number 33. But those 3 trucks all trying to push themselves up to the top. Alan Capers currently sitting 3rd on the time charts, but man, half a second behind the 20 and the 98. That's really impressive to see 2 trucks a half a second up front here at Talladega. You don't see that often on any type of racetrack, but here we are at Talladega. But now we have a 4-truck train. They're right on the center of the screen. We'll have to see what they can do together, and I'm just keeping an eye out around the track. In fact, the checkered flag has come out. I think these 4 trucks will be able to get one more lap in. No, they decide to break apart. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else who can really challenge for the pole. Dominic Lee, AJ Digby, and Kevin Paskowicz, they got a train going down the back stretch. Nate Catilla and Billy Wise, doesn't look like they quite have the steam. 182 miles an hour out of turn number 4 there. So I really think Paskowicz, Digby, and Dominic Lee, they'll be coming into the trioval shots here in just a second, just as we pan away. I don't think anyone's really going to be able to battle Wilson and Roberge up at the tops. And no, Digby moves up to 5th, which is an improvement. Dominic Lee moves up to 6th, which is also an improvement. Paskowicz 8th. But, man, Dave Wilson and Chris Roberge, what a lap by those 2 drivers to get themselves the front row locked out here at Talladega.
And that really shows you work at its finest, those 2 teammates, and they are about half a second quicker than anyone else. So that was one hell of a run they had in the draft. Impressive to see, but we are done with qualifying here. Dave Wilson is your pole sitter, the winningest driver of the season with those 9 wins, I do believe, as of last week. So starting off at the right foot here tonight.
We just want to mention that before we go green here, our audio issues, my talking issues have not been fixed, but the audio issues have been fixed. And yeah, we thank you guys for your patience as all these cars, or trucks I should say, are now grading out there on the field. Cameron, take us through the starting lineup.
Well, On the pole, we have the number 20 of Dave Wilson and the 98 of Christopher Burge, his teammate.
Starting on row number 2, we got the number 13, lucky number 13 of Alan Capers, and starting alongside him, the double 3 of Doug McCollum.
Row number 3, we got the number 14 of AJ Digby, the perennial bad luck driver who's trying to get over that, and Dominic Lee to his outside.
On row number 4, it's the number 17 of Fernando Matos. We saw him with a great run at Daytona in the B car not too long ago, but got into some bad luck, so hopefully he can back that up with a good run here today. Kevin Paskowicz in the number 7 will be rolling off from the 8th position.
On row number 5, we got a pair of Chevys, the 4 of Nate Catilla, and that beautiful disabled American veteran scheme in the number 32 of Billy Wise.
After those two Wise Guys racing team drivers, we have the number 99 of Johnny Berardi starting in 11th, and the 48 of Mark Dingman to his outside starting P12.
Starting in lucky number 13, Kyle Zimmer, the winner at Bristol, and Thomas Wise in the number 1 machine.
Starting in the 15th position, and your first non-qualifier is the 56 of Tom Johnson. He was fast in practice, so keep an eye out for him in this one. Tanner Sharp will be starting to his outside. Tanner Sharp is racing here tonight. He's been doing some schoolwork outside of his sim racing, but luckily he'll be able to roll off tonight from the 16th position.
Starting in 17th, we have the number 80 of Kevin Cochran, a chase for the championship driver, and to his outside, Matthew Lesniewski. And going to round out your field tonight, the perennial non-qualifier himself, Brian Lovett, who was starting in 19th spot, but don't look for him there very long, because he will make his way throughout the field. And that concludes our 19-car grid for tonight. A very healthy field for this track, so it should be one hell of a race. Talladega always puts on a show, especially with these trucks, man. These trucks, Talladega, always something to look forward to, and that's going to be doubly true tonight because SimPossible Racing League races are spectacles in their own right. These drivers put on great shows week in and week out, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, and you know, all of these drivers here in the SimPossible Racing League have some form of disability, but that doesn't limit their driving ability in any way, because these guys put on a great show each and every week here on 3Wide TV. So if you haven't checked them out before, we're here every Monday and Wednesday night on 3Wide TV, and Monday nights on iRacing Live as well. So if you're on iRacing Live, we welcome you, and getting set to go green flag racing here at Talladega. We got 47 laps here tonight, so not too long of a race, but I'm sure all these drivers will have that finish line already in the back of their minds. Got some butterflies in the stomach, as you always do at a super speedway race. I know that super speedway races make me more nervous than any other type of track, just because there's a lot out of your control, and especially for drivers like Kevin Cochran, AJ Digby, Tom Johnson, Nate Catilla, Dave Wilson, and Kyle Zimmer, your chase drivers. They'll be looking to find a way to get into the next round of the chase. Well, Cameron, all the trucks coming out of turn number 4, track temperature 78 degrees Fahrenheit. It's overcast 76, so I think that overcast sky will definitely make for some high speeds.
Absolutely, and we see the pace car pulling off here on the front stretch. The start-finish line is a couple hundred feet down the road. We're going to go to the tri-oval here, and this tri-oval is going to be a point of note later on in the race, because it can be the most difficult part of this track. It's very, very bumpy, and you can see how these trucks handle through it, but
And well, welcome back. Hopefully, hopefully you haven't missed anything. As we're sorting out some technical difficulties here, our main communications channel has disappeared. But man, well, you missed an exciting first lap. AJ Digby got turned around there, coming out of the tri-oval, and my oh my, you see this on the replay here, riding on board with Tanner Sharp, and Tanner is just trying to find his way through this accident here, right behind the number 1 of Thomas Wise. See, it all happens in front of him, and really, man, you see all that smoke, and Tanner's just gonna jump down to the basement. Cars spinning everywhere. Great job getting through that accident, Cameron.
Yeah, I apologize for that little hiccup we had, but we are back, and that definitely was a great job of driving by Tanner. Once you see that smoke, there's not much you can do except just slow down and hope you don't run into the back from behind. Ooh, that's a hard hit with that 17 machine. That's and you can see to just pile in behind him. So I don't think anyone had to take a tow though. So I think that's the good news. There is a lot of smoke pouring out of these engines, so definitely be quite a bit of faster barriers being taken.
Well, AJ Digby, unfortunately, he was able to get his number 14 truck about 3/4 of the way around the track, but then his engine expired. So we see the number 99 also of Johnny Berardi also on pit road with AJ Digby, those two trucks having to take a tow. And here we are riding on board. Not quite sure who this is, but you see it all happen. Oof, man. It was the 56 of Tom Johnson that we're riding on board with. And man, it seemed like the track just all of a sudden got blocked in front of him.
Yeah, it looks like another driver had to take a fast repair, or a tow. Was the 17 of Fernando Matos. His engine expired. And the 48 of Mark Dingman, his engine actually expired right at the entry of pit lane. So that's some pretty bad luck there too. So not the start of the race these guys wanted, but for those that were able to actually fix their trucks up, it will be good to go here pretty soon.
At least if you're Mark Dingman, you're going to have a short tow, because iRacing does kind of prorate where you are on the track for how long it's going to take to tow your machine back to pit road. So Dingman's hopefully going to have a short tow. Hopefully he won't lose a lap in that number 48 machine.
And for these drivers that do lose laps in the towing process, which can be anywhere from 30 seconds, like you said, Peter, the prorated tow, that should be, Mark Dingman should be all right with that tow at the beginning of pit road. Go anywhere from like 30 seconds to 5 minutes, depending on where you get on the track. So that can end up in you losing quite a bit of laps. And cautions aren't easy to come by here unless the wrecks are kind of what you just saw, and kind of have a good chance of being in those if they do happen. So it's not easy to make up laps here like it can be at another track, like a short track or something.
Yeah, you really have to rely on getting lucky dogs and wave arounds to get your laps back. And AJ Digby, we highlighted it not too long ago in this stream, that AJ Digby has just had a monkey on his back, and it doesn't seem like he's able to shake it each and every week. We see Digby run into some kind of issue, and unfortunately here for Digby, it's a first lap accident, and he's still sitting on pit road. And he's going to be multiple laps down once this is all said and done. Luckily, these pace laps take forever here at Talladega. But with that being said, Cameron, it's also a really long tow here at Talladega. So he's still sitting on pit road waiting for that damage to get fixed. And it looks like Fernando Matos, he will also go a lap down in the number 17 truck. So that's interesting to note that Matos is sitting on pit road. I thought he made it back to pit road under his own power in that number 17, but maybe not.
Yeah, you're very right about that. And actually, AJ Digby made a comment last week that if he didn't have bad luck, he would have no luck at all. And that is quite true for the season. That's kind of why we call him the perennial bad luck driver, not because of anything of his doing. He just seems to get involved in everything, and you really got to feel bad for him, because when you get that kind of luck, it really just sucks. Here as a commentator, as a fan, he's got a lot of fans that come out and watch his races. It's just it's criminal how bad his season has gone as far as luck goes, because he's such a good driver, and he could go out there and compete with the best of them.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Digby has shown some great speed this year, getting that win earlier this season at Indianapolis, and luckily for Digby, he has finally made it back to pit road. I think he will be 2 laps down once he does leave his pit box, but definitely, like we said, kind of a blow early on. There's going to be a couple of trucks. Dingman, Digby, Matos, and Berardi will also be 2 laps down. So we'll keep an eye on that as the race progresses. Hopefully we can see these trucks back on the lead lap at some point. But Dave Wilson leads from Alan Capers, Chris Roberge, Kevin Paskowicz, and Billy Wise. You haven't missed all too much action here at Talladega besides the first big one of the night. And it all started up near the front of the field. But nonetheless, it's going to be, there's a long way to go. About 43 laps to go or so. So all of these drivers, I'm sure they'll have seen that first accident. I think they'll probably realize that this is a long race. No need to really push it at this point in the race, and hopefully we can get some green flag running in.
Yeah, and for Dingman, Matos, Digby, and Berardi, all those trucks that had to take tows, they are all back on the track, all 1 lap down. So, if we can get a quick caution or something, and they can play some strategy, they can get back in the lead lap pretty quick. So it's about the best case scenario for a situation like that where you have to take a tow here at Talladega. So it's good to see. But looks like at the front, the pace car lights are off. We're going to be going green here pretty shortly, in about a minute or so, with the way these pace laps are timed, and we're going to be having Dave Wilson control the field again. He kept the lead throughout that first green flag sequence.
Yeah, what's interesting about where Dave Wilson is now, he's got Chris Roberge's teammate tucked up right behind him on this restart, so I'm sure that those two will probably get to time this restart. Of course, certain levels of communication are down. The same, our primary communications server that we use for these broadcasts, that's what all these drivers use to communicate with each other as well. So if it's gone down for us, it's gone down for them. So it could make things a little bit trickier because communication's important here at Talladega. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on to see how that level of communication is amongst these drivers here.
Yeah, you're very right about that. And communication here is quite really most important at super speedways. So you gotta think they're going to be going in the F10 box with the radios and trying to get everything they can set up to communicate with. But definitely interesting to see how that affects the race, if it does at all. Sometimes it doesn't really matter. These drivers are good; they all know what they're doing pretty well. So I don't think it'll be too much of an issue.
Well, pace car lights are off as we said, and Cameron, 2.5 minute pace laps are not the most fun thing in the world. So hopefully once these drivers get back to green flag racing, I'm sure they're not having too much fun pacing around at 65 miles an hour. And hopefully we can get some green flag running in as the pace car is going to go below that yellow line and dive onto pit road here. Well, like you said, once that pace car gets down below that yellow line, it takes forever for you to get back to green because of the tri-oval. And Cameron, I think a couple of drivers in the past have fallen victim to passing that pace car because it kind of dives off early here. But no one falls victim to that here. Everyone stays behind that pace car as the number 20, Dave Wilson's going to lead us back to the green flag. Green flag back in the air. Just to his outside is Alan Capers in the number 13. Man, Alan Capers got a great start in that number 13 machine, but it's about a half a car length back to Kevin Paskowicz in the number 7. Paskowicz does have a little bit of right side damage in that machine, so it's kind of interesting to see Paskowicz not come down pit road that time, but he did stay out. Now everyone kind of forming up. They're 2 by 2 from about second place on back through the field, and Paskowicz going to try and give Capers a bump.
Yeah, there was some ducking and weaving right behind Paskowicz, the 2 and the 4, that's dominantly Nick Catilla. Looks like they might have made contact in the corner and it shoved that 4 car way up the track, but he looks like he's gotten it pretty straight. He's tucked up right on the bumper of that 7 car. You see him on board right now, very close to that bumper. You want to be as close as you can without actually hitting them in the corner because that can spin the car out in front of you. But it looks like the bottom line has about 10 trucks right now, and the top line is for the about 4 trucks. The line stops after Dominic Lee, so they're going to want to get some cars up there to try to even out those lines if that top line is going to want to make any roads. But it looks like the top line is actually holding on pretty strong. They have not lost a lot of time. Actually still battling for the lead with Dave Wilson. Actually, as I say that, bottom line pulls ahead a little bit and losing some of their steam here.
Yeah, I'm noticing in practice the number 2 of Dominic Lee was fairly aggressive in some of their practice runs. I saw him go, ooh, almost contact there up at the front. The number 13 of Capers got really, really close to the side of the number 98, going through turns number 3 and 4, but they say, ooh, a couple of drivers going below the yellow line. Not quite sure who that was. I think it actually might have been Kyle Zimmer in the number 25, who might have ducked down below that yellow line through the tri-oval. And Cameron, the yellow line's out of bounds, so these drivers do have to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, and one thing I want to kind of make a note of, Alan Capers just got cut from the top line by Kevin Paskovich, so he is out there on his own for the time being, and once you're out there on your own, you really have to just wait for a hole to get in, because you cannot do anything. Oh, there's Nick! He got shoved out of the way, saved him, wow! Another good piece of driving by that driver right there. You see him get, oh, we have a wreck in the back! Not sure who that was, but Kyle Zimmer looks like he's got turned around. AJ Digby in it again. There's Tom Johnson in it. Looks like that kind of happened a little bit before. I'm not sure what happened there. I'll have to wait and see a replay.
Yeah, I think it actually might have stemmed from that initial contact with Nate Catilla. I think a couple of trucks. Oof, man, that 25 gets launched into the catch fencing. Let's watch this replay here. Coming down the back stretch, there is the initial contact. So Nate Catilla is now down on the apron. I think a couple of trucks decided to check up because of that, and I think when the 25 of Zimmer checked up, the column didn't quite see it, and the 25 ends up getting launched into the air. And oof, man, AJ Digby and Tom Johnson making contact there towards the end. Kevin Cochran and Johnny Berardi arriving on scene a little late, but both of those 2 trucks are trying to slow up for it. We're riding on board here, I think, with Zimmer. Indeed, it is Zimmer, and you see that initial contact, he tried to save it, had to check up a little bit, and then another little nudge from behind sent that number 25 machine around. So a tough break here for Kyle Zimmer. He is one of the chase drivers. He does have, fast repairs remaining, but definitely not the start Kyle Zimmer was looking forward to.
Yeah, that definitely was kind of started by the 4 getting kind of shoved out of the way. You saw trucks start ducking around, and Nate did a very good job. It was a very smart move. He just kind of went to the apron and slowed down a little bit to let the car come back to him. He could have forced his way back up into the pack, as we see some drivers do in the official series when that happens. But it was a very good move by him to not force his way back up there. But we do have pit stops, so we'll have to see if anybody takes the wave round or anybody stays out or anything like that, because that will be what some of the drivers who were one lap down would be wanting.
Yeah, in fact, keeping an eye on that right now, Christopher Burge, Billy Wise, Alan Capers did stay out, along with Nate Catilla, Fernando Matos, Thomas Wise, and a couple of cars who were a couple laps down, but a couple of drivers using a little bit of strategy on pit road. Kevin Paskovich is one of those. Paskovich in the number 7 truck will be the first truck off pit road, and following him is Dominic Lee. Dave Wilson going to lose a couple of spots on pit road, lose some track position, but track position isn't really important until the last few laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And here at Talladega, really, pitting is, usually you want to pit and take 4 tires, and take 4 tires and fuel. But here, really, a lot of times you see 2 tires, no tires, because tires really are not that big of an issue here. So always good to see the strategies in play here.
Yeah, definitely have the different strategies in play, but we're gonna have to step away for just a moment. We'll be right back here on 3 Wide TV. Don't go anywhere.
And it's not about MS anymore. It's about just working out in this community and being a part of the community. And you can go there, you come to MS Forward and everybody gets it. You can talk to everybody about it. But that's, I think, my spin, if you will, on my disease has changed to a more positive thing. just because I've been able to be a part of MS Forward Gym. And it's not just a gym, I just can't say it enough, it's a community. It's really a community.
It's murder, go crazy, berserker.
All right, welcome back to Talladega here. We are under caution, our third caution of the night. Maybe second caution. But we did have some technical difficulties there for a little bit, but we are back running as normal, so thank you for your patience, everybody. Let's go ahead and reset the field for you here. We have Christopher Burge as your leader, Billy Wise in second, Alan Capers third, Nate Catilla fourth, Thomas Wise in 5th, Kevin Paskowicz 6th, Dominic Lee 7th, Dave Wilson 8th, Doug McCollum 9th, and Matthew Lesniewski rounding out your top 10. And this has been quite the race, Peter. A bit messy, but have some good racing so far. Kind of what you expect at Talladega. You know, you're going to get your wrecks here and there. It's just part of the racing, but been a good race nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of those drivers who were caught up in those incidents early on, Fernando Matos, Johnny Berardi, AJ Digby, Kyle Zimmer, they've actually been able to be waved around the pace cars, so they're actually now only one lap down. Mark Dickman actually is going to get back on the lead lap by the way of a wave around and a lucky dog. So a couple of, Edmonds showing some good light on that number 48, letting him do a wave around here to get himself back to the lead lap at that number 48. So we currently have 15 trucks on the lead lap out of the 19 starters. Great field here tonight, Cameron, here in the MS Ford Truck Series. Definitely the field count has been going up and up and up as Alan Capers decides to kill the blue cone once again. He did that last lap and actually got the cone stuck on the truck. So definitely interesting to see that happen. Luckily he doesn't have the cone stuck on that truck this time by, but last week at Phoenix we saw the cone die quite a few times, so they're trying to keep that streak going.
Yeah, absolutely, and there actually was a running joke after the race. It wasn't just us in the booth. They had a cone counter going for Alan, so we'll see how many cones he can murder tonight, because I think the count is about up to 2 or 3 so far, and maybe we'll have to get Carlos to make a graphic for that in the coming weeks, because it is quite interesting to watch. But pace car lights are off, so we're going to be going green again. Hopefully no cone's going to be getting killed under green, because that cone is off the racing surface, so these drivers should not be down there anyway. And I think these drivers are going to be wanting to get these cars strung out again and get some racing going on, because these pace laps are very, very long. So you have about 35, 36 laps to go here, and that can either be very long or very short of time. The pace car is ducking off here. Going to be about 10 seconds before we actually get the green flag. These drivers getting ready, making sure they don't pass that pace car, and looks like everything is good on that front. But this is the most anticipated moment in racing, just about, because you want the green flag to come out right here, and it's just not coming out. But it is coming out now. Green flag out. That 32 car on the outside, Billy Wise gets a pretty good run, but he does not have the number 4 of Patilla on his bumper very well, but he does blunt him a bit. Chris Roberge on the bottom side getting a pretty good run through 1 and 2. That bottom line, actually the stronger line for a lap or two before these cars get, trucks. Before these trucks get wound up. Oh, we have a crash in the back. Is that 3? I think that was Tanner Sharp, and they're still wrecking. That's Dominic Lee in the middle of the pack in getting Tom Johnson involved, but I think that was started with the I believe that was started with 3 of Tanner Sharp. Looks like he got kind of moved out of the way or something.
Well, I saw the number 1 of Thomas Weiss, who got spun around on the backstretch. Not quite sure where the contact was. We'll see if we can see a replay. You're focusing on the number 1 of Thomas Weiss. We got the number 2, Dominic Lee, tucked up right behind him, coming out of turn number 2 here. You see Tanner Sharp, he sits a little bit further back, but the 1 moved up just a little bit. The 2 kind of filled that spot, and that number 1 truck down hard, making contact with the inside wall, and Dominic Lee shot up the track. Doesn't look like too much damage on that number 2 machine, but a couple of other trucks ended up going around, including the 56. We'll have to see if the 56 of Tom Johnson has much damage. We'll see the 2 of Dominic Lee tried to do everything he could to save that truck while it was down there, and he came up the track. He just hit the left rear of Tom. And Tom Johnson in that number 56 machine went spinning through the infield. And luckily it's mostly paved down there, so Tom Johnson didn't get a whole lot of damage. He was able to get it slowed down, but he did make contact with that inside retaining wall. And all 3 of those trucks now on pit road, so luckily they were able to get back on their own power. But your race lead is currently held by Christopher Roberge. So Roberge trying to get those laps led in this one, and we've seen Roberge be very good on the super speedways, Cameron, getting that win on the B car side of things at Daytona earlier this year.
Yes, he is a very good plate racer, and so is his teammate Dave Wilson. Not notching a win yet, but finishing about 2nd or 3rd in every single race. So you're going to have a teammate, have a good restricted plate racer and your teammate, so you can. It really helps here. So of course, always look out for those 2 drivers at these tracks. I think the 2 of Dominic Lee somehow blew the engine coming to pit road, because he creeped into his pit stop or his pit box at about 5 miles an hour. So that's odd to notice, but it does look like he is back going again. Got the car repaired. Quick apology to Tanner Sharp. He was not involved in that wreck whatsoever. I just thought I saw him in the wreck, but he was just a few cars behind it. Had nothing to do with it, so he is all right on that front.
Yeah, and that number 3 truck is nice and clean. It might have a little bit of damage on it, but I don't think it'll be affecting the 3 of Tanner Sharp, of course. Tanner hasn't been able to make many races as of late, but it's spring break. So spring break means it's time to go out and have some fun. And Tanner Sharp having fun here at the Talladega Super Speedway, as there is the number 98. And look at Alan Capers. There he goes, and boom, there it goes. Rest in peace, Blue Cone once again. So I'd say that's probably 4 or 5, Cameron. We need to keep an eye on that. We need to make a cone cam and just keep it on the cone when Alan Capers goes by here under caution, because he likes to go out and grab it.
Yeah, here at 3 Watt TV, we like innovation, so we're going to go ahead and stick a GoPro in that whenever it gets hit, so we can see what it's like to be a cone that gets hit every time.
We need a gyro cam on the cone.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great idea.
Just go flipping like crazy after Mr. Capers goes down and hits it. Maybe
But
one day, once iRacing has the new damage model, maybe that will actually do damage to the truck. Who knows?
yeah, it's good to see these drivers just out here having some fun too. Just not really taking it all too seriously. Of course, it's you want to take it seriously to an extent, but it's not something that's super, I don't know, super serious. It's just a lighthearted race. It's good to see these guys having fun week in and week out.
Absolutely, as we still continue here under the caution flag, Christopher Burge, Alan Capers, Billy Wise, and Nate Catilla all have yet to pit. So those 4 trucks that are out front, of course, most of this race has been run under the caution flag, but those drivers specifically have yet to come down and grab any fuel or anything like that. So kind of interesting to keep an eye on that one. I don't think tires are going to be too important, especially with it being overcast. I'm sure the track is really, really grippy. In fact, the track has cooled off 1 degree in temperature down to 77 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature. So I'm sure there's plenty of grip for those tires. And in fact, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see if some of these drivers have some of the left side or right side tires that they actually started the race on. Because it's not that long of a race, only 47 laps.
Yeah, especially with the temperature we have right now, it is 77 degrees and overcast, so tires do not really take a beating like they would at a hotter track, especially those left sides. Really, they are just not all that much useful at this track anyway. But of course, we see that Dominic Lee. Excuse me, that was Dave Wilson. That added 2 on the Dominic Lee running the 2. Dave Wilson, the 20. So he's going to continue off where Capers left off and do the cone damage himself. But like you were saying, tires, not really a factor here. I actually did not get a fuel number for these trucks for tonight. I don't know if fuel will be an issue or not, but I do think they do run a bit of a smaller fuel cell at these tracks, so I have to imagine they will have to stop at least once in the 47 laps we run tonight.
Yeah, well, definitely running all these caution laps is going to lead to a longer run on fuel, because you're really typically it's about a 2-to-1 ratio how much fuel you use under caution to when you are under green flag. So I'm sure a lot of these drivers, they might also be clutching to save a little bit extra fuel, getting those RPMs a little bit lower. So it's definitely something to keep in mind if we do get a green flag run, if and when. And, you would hate to run out of fuel at Talladega, I know that much.
Yeah, definitely. And you can even save more fuel if you shut the engine off, because you can coast pretty easily here around most of the track, so that will increase your fuel savings exponentially. Of course, engine's off, you're using 0 fuel, so that does help under caution. And just being in the draft, really, too, you can... Saving fuel is so easy at a super speedway, and it's really part of the whole game.
Well, Cameron, I don't really want to jinx him. I don't want to give him the commentator's curse, but I feel like people need to know AJ Digby, driver number 14 Chevrolet. He's had a lot of bad luck as of late, but he's had a little bit of luck here, and he's back on the lead lap after being 2 laps down early in this event. He's currently running in the 16th position in that Zulu Motorsport Chevrolet. It's actually pretty cool. I've getting to run with AJ Digby and see him race and some other things. He was actually racing a car in another league, a GT car at Sebring not too long ago. So Digby definitely popping up on the map on the oval side and the road side of things. So pretty cool to see that. AJ Digby currently running once again in the 16th position, last truck on the lead lap. As we'll see who hit the pit cone this lap. It's Tanner Sharp. Tanner Sharp got it this lap. So under this caution, Cameron, we've had Capers, Tanner, and Dave Wilson go down and grab that blue cone out of turn number 2. Rest in peace, cone. I would hate to be the guy that just keeps placing it there.
Yeah, we talked about last week that the guy that keeps replacing that cone is the real MVP. He runs out there on the track, even if the cars are racing at full speed like they were at Phoenix. He just goes out there and, you know, he puts it out there and doesn't complain about it. So what a man that is. Give him a raise if anyone's watching.
Yeah, give that guy who makes $0 and 0 cents, give him a 100% raise. He deserves it.
Absolutely. But speaking of hitting the cone, we actually don't know where I was going with that one. But the pace car is pulling off here again under that yellow line. Going to pull off into the pits here. Christopher Burge, your leader. Alan Capers on the outside of him. Going to be waiting here for the restart just a bit. The anticipation building for some more green flag racing here. I know these drivers want to get back going again, but
Flagman did miss the cone, by the way.
Okay, that's good to know. But Flagman has the green flag in his hand, and it is out now. Christopher Burge on cloud pedal, so is Alan Capers. We'll see what line can get the strong push. There's only 2 cars on the bottom line, but they're not really formed up. The 7 of passengers just a bit off of the 32. That is Billy Wise, but they are getting formed up. They have 4 cars on the bottom, 2, 3 on the top. Bit of a gap back to the 6th place driver, but we are side by side on the backstretch.
Yeah, and Billy Wise and Nick Hilla, those are 2 teammates. So we'll have to keep an eye on those 2 here throughout this race. But Alan Capers, great push from Nate Catilla. It's going to move the number 13 truck to the race lead. Capers now kind of trying to find a line. He's finally going to jump down in front of the 98. That was really, really tight there as Capers all of a sudden ducked low once he got out front. We're really tight through the tri-oval. Everyone checking up just a little bit. Man, it can be really treacherous following so close through that tri-oval because Cameron, you start seeing it a little loose through there.
Yeah, absolutely. The tri-oval is very bumpy and it's really deceptive, but we did have one driver come down the pit road, Kevin Cochran, the 80 truck. That is a championship driver, so I'm not sure what happened there, if he got a penalty or something, but definitely... Oh, we have a crash! That's... Not sure who that was, but that's Roberge, and looks like that's a lot of the field involved again. 2, 3 cars involved. There's Tanner Sharp right there in the middle of it.
And we're still green flag.
Yeah, we're still green flag. Caution has not been thrown, so we'll have to see if race control does throw the caution, because I cannot believe that was not thrown. There was cars wrecking all over the track right there. And yes, actually, race control has thrown the caution flag, so we are under caution now. Surprised that iRacing did not do it, but we do see that from time and time again.
Riding on board with the 3. Oof. Man, Tanner Sharp had nowhere to go in that one. He just locked it up and did keep it off the inside wall, but it all happened right in front of him with Roberge being turned around. I think Dave Wilson came away with a smoking motor. Let's see what happens just out front here. Oof, yeah, a little bit of contact there from Catilla and Roberge. Oof, man, that was such a hard hit with that inside wall. Man,
yeah.
that was a hard hit.
We talk about teammates here at Talladega, but that's not what you want to do with your teammate right there, hitting the same wall pretty hard, and that's not how you want to do it. But looks like they were all able to drive away, and some of the cars. I'm looking at the 3 truck. He is quite damaged on the front end, but he'll definitely come in and fix that, because we've seen Tanner kind of low on the fast repairs just a little bit in certain races where he just doesn't want to take them, but here is not a track where you really want to do that, because you need as clean of a truck as possible, because aero is so important here with these fast speeds in the draft.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm sure he'll be coming down pit road to get that damage fixed without a doubt, as everyone's coming out of turn number 4 here back under the yellow flag at Talladega. And looks like Dominic Lee, he's decided to stay out. In fact, most of your leaders stay out. First taker on pit road is the 56 of Tom Johnson. Nate Catilla, he got a lot of damage from that accident. He's on pit road. Thomas Wise, Tanner Sharp on pit road. Dave Wilson, his engine actually blew while he was on pit road. He was able to coast it back to his pit stall. So that's a pretty common occurrence tonight, blowing up on pit road and just having to coast to your pit box. But luckily for those drivers, they don't have to take a tow. when that happens. They can just kind of make it to their pit box. Chris Roberge is getting a lot of damage fixed on that number 98 machine, and hopefully Chris Roberge doesn't have a meatball flag here, because it doesn't look like he checked his fast repair. So that number 98.
He actually took a tow, so that's why he's sitting there on pit road.
Well, that's a tough break for Chris. I mean, he's been running up there at the front. We talked about it earlier. You know, good restrictor plate racer. As rest in peace, Cone once again. Alan Capers just going down and getting it once again. But yeah, tough break for Chris Roberge. We've seen a couple of drivers here go a lap down or two, but they've found a way to get back on the lead lap. Fernando Matos is one of those. In fact, he's the lucky dog right now. So he's got the lucky dog, and he's working his way. He's now back on the lead lap as he hits the stripe this time by. And so that once again puts us at 16 trucks on the lead lap. Chris Roberge, though, still sitting on pit road. We'll have to see if he goes more than one lap down, because that would be a tough break.
Yeah, we were talking about how you are on the track really determines how long your tow is. He was actually on the back stretch right in the middle, so that's kind of the absolute worst spot. So I have to imagine he will go 2 laps down at least. And but you know, we've seen crazy things here. The way this race has gone, he might be able to get that back. So definitely have to watch out for that. But right up there on your screen, that's Dominic Lee in the 2 truck. A very nice looking truck. Kind of calling his shot last week, saying he's going to win. So you know, I've been a very fast driver since getting in the SimPossible recently, just a few weeks ago. A new addition to the league, somewhat still, but has not been able to break through with the win yet. Just having some bad luck and getting involved in some accidents here and there, but definitely someone to look out for each and every week, and he's right at the front of the field right now.
Oh, without a doubt. And, I mean, you said it. He's been really fast week in, week out. Just hasn't seemed to been able to get the whole race together to get the win just yet. But I think, you know, his win is coming without a doubt. He's definitely showed the pace in that number 2 machine to get the win pretty much every week that he's been here. He's shown some really fast pace, and just, you know, he'll get that win. And I'm sure once he finally does get that win, I'm sure that'll be like the dam has burst open, because definitely a very fast driver. In that number 2 is Dominic Lee. Kyle Zimmer coming down pit road in the number 25. He's currently sitting 1 lap down in the 18th position, so he is one of your chase drivers, and definitely not the start to the race he'd be looking for. Chris Roberge, unfortunately, did end up going 2 laps down in the number 98, so it seems like if these drivers have to take a tow from the back stretch, they will inevitably end up 2 laps down. We saw that in the first accident here tonight, and we saw that again. And just getting word that Alan Capers, Billy Wise, those are the only 2 trucks left who have yet to pit in this race. So they've got, you know, 22 laps or so. Most of those laps have been under the caution flag, Cameron, but 22 laps, that's a pretty decent number.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's, like we said earlier, I'm not exactly sure of the fuel number, but that has to be getting pretty close to the window if it's going to be an issue, because I seem to think of 30-something laps is the kind of max run in these trucks in this track, but I'm also not completely sure. I could be way off the mark with that, but just from races I've run in the past, that number is kind of sticking in my head.
Yeah, and we're closing in on halfway. We'll have 25 laps to go this time by. We're getting a 47-lap race here, led by Dominic Lee. Already set the field for you. Behind Dominic Lee, we have Alan Capers, Billy Wise, Kevin Paskowicz. Matthew Lesniewski has worked that number 24 machine up into the 5th position, just outside the top 5. It's Brian Lowhead, Doug McCollum, Mark Dingman, AJ Digby, and Tanner Sharp rounding out your top 10. Of course, the number 3 of Sharp being involved in that last accident, but that number 3 machine had got a fast repair, and he looks ready to go back to action here once we go back to green flag racing here in just a lap.
Yeah, and really we've seen a lot of the chase drivers have trouble tonight. The top 5 in the race, actually top 8 drivers, it looks like, are not in the chase for the championship. The first driver in the chase is actually AJ Digby, surprisingly enough. He has worked his way back up into the top 10, but Kyle Zimmer is in 18th spot right now. Dave Wilson in 15th, involved in the last accident. Kevin Cochran had some issues there, a penalty or something. We're not totally sure of that yet. So really, it's just this race is kind of playing havoc on the championship right now. But I think those drivers should be fine. We'll have to wait and see how the rest of the race goes.
Yeah, and for the drivers who are not in the chase, you know, they're still looking to get a win. So they're hoping to play spoiler here tonight for those chase drivers who are looking to punch their way into the next round with a win here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a driver outside the chase, this is kind of your golden opportunity to come out and get a win and play spoiler, because this race is just so unpredictable. So definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Well, we definitely have some interesting races left on the schedule. Next week we go to Martinsville Speedway, the Paperclip, and then the week after that we go to ISM, which is where we were last week on the SimPossible B Car Series. We saw a fantastic race there, and then of course we finish up the MS Ford Truck Series season at Homestead, Miami for the championship event. So definitely, you know, even though we have Talladega tonight, there's still 3 fantastic races left on the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely, and Martinsville itself, quite a wild card race in it, and you know, in its own right. We go from the biggest track on the schedule here at Talladega to the smallest at Martinsville, but the pace car has pulled off the track. The green flag is about to come out. Alan Capers holding that number 2 car. 2 is inside, very tight. But looks like the outside line is a little bit broken up. Brian Lowhead about a lane higher than he might want to be. But green flag is out here. Alan Capers and Dominic Lee both getting a good restart. Capers has Kevin Pasquich behind him. Dominic Lee, Billy Wise in that 32 machine. See what line gets the better run. It looks like the bottom line is the preferred groove right now. But we'll see if those 2 trucks on the outside can get hooked up and make a run. These you can actually tandem with these trucks for a bit before the temperatures start going up. We kind of see it right there. The 13 has the 7 tucked up right on his bumper on that very high side of the track. Look at that run they're getting. Capers actually has made his way to the lead. We'll see if he can clear the 2. He's not going to do so. He's going to stay with the 7 here in the turn number 3. But here comes the 2 of Dominic Lee back on the inside. He's got Billy Wise behind him and a few more trucks lined up behind him than the outside.
Yeah, you can do that for, you know, a little bit of time, but you can't continuously push the guy in front of you, as Pasquich was able to get a little bit of clean air on the nose. Oh, Pasquich and Capers smacked the wall. Just going through the start-finish line. Alan Capers is going to dive all the way down to the inside. We're 3 or 4 wide. We were 4 wide for a brief moment there with Tanner Sharp. He's in the middle of that 3 wide situation. Doug McCollum to his inside. We're 4 wide up off the corner. Once again, these drivers racing like cats and dogs. Tanner Sharp going to split the middle. He's worked his way all the way up into the 6th position here now, as he's going to duck back down to the inside line. Kevin Pasquich, your big loser. He was 2nd last time by at the stripe. This time by, he will be back into the 7th or so position, as Nate Catilla has moved up quite considerably. A really good lap by that number 4 machine to get up there. Tanner Sharp tried to see if people would go with him on the outside, but now Tanner Sharp in the 3, he's going to be left out there, and he's got really no drafting buddies, so Tanner Sharp is just going to
Ooh, 13 around! Oh, front of the field. Ooh, yep. 2 car, Dominic Lee upside down on his roof. That's Tanner Sharp involved. That's the 56 of Tom Johnson. Looks like the 48 of Dingman, 99 Johnny Berardi, all involved in this accident. I kind of saw this one coming from a mile away. We'll have to look at the replay, see what happened. Yeah, the 13 of Alan Capers just kind of came down on the 2. He was there. Nothing really he could do about that, and that's a hard impact for all of those drivers.
Yeah, that number 2, Dominic Lee, going absolutely flipping, and man, poor old Dominic Lee went for that ride, but he at least was able to drive it back to pit road. Kevin Cochran, Oh gosh, look at that gyro cam just flipping like crazy as he got into the catch fence. Another hard lick there at the end. You see Tanner Sharp there. See this from high up from our TV cam. It's right on board with Tanner Sharp, excuse me. So there was the initial contact, and oh, it looked like Tanner Sharp was clear. And then another little bump from Capers and Dominic Lee sent Lee up the racetrack and right into the side of that number 3 Mountain Dew Chevrolet. Interesting to note, Kevin Cochran is actually being pushed back to pit road by AJ Digby. The number 80 of Cochran blew up, his motor blew, and definitely getting a little bit of help by Digby to get him back to pit road. He's going to coast to his pit box. Last thing you want to do here is go through your pit box, because if you do that, it's a full lap tow. So Kevin Cochran going to get to his pit box here and going to use that fast repair.
That's a really cool gesture on Digby's part, just to kind of help a brother out, you know, push him back to pit road. We've kind of seen that before, a few drivers doing that in races earlier in the season. So, you know, these drivers really looking out for one another, and it's pretty cool to see. But it looks like the leader there, that's Billy Wise, thought about coming to pit road, but he actually stayed out. So, see a few in the back.
And Billy Wise is Billy Wise is still the only truck now. We still have one truck who has not pitted in this race, and that would be Billy Wise, your race leader. So he's definitely getting his way to the front one way or another. But Billy Wise leads this race. Right behind him is the 24 of Matthew Lesniewski, Doug McCollum, Nate Catilla, and Dave Wilson rounding out your top 5. We'll be right back after a quick message from our sponsors.
All right, welcome back to Talladega. We have 19 laps to go under caution here, and gonna have at least 2 more laps of pacing. The pace car lights have not gone off yet. Billy Wise there on your screen right now. He is your leader. Has not pitted yet in this race, and We don't know if he will, but we'll have to wait and see. But we do have a major implication in this race so far. It looks like the driver of the 2 dominant lead was parked by race control. So we'll have to see what happened there, but definitely looks like some tempers flaring at this stage of the race, and definitely with the type of racing we've seen so far, we can see why that might be the case. But definitely, you know, these drivers putting on a good show, very awesome to watch so far, and you know, these last 19 laps are going to be something to definitely look out for.
Oh yeah, definitely. As pace car lights still on here at Talladega as these drivers go through turns number 3 and 4. Just want to give a shout out to some of our chatters currently. Max Calder saying nice evade by the 17. Without a doubt, it was a really good wreck avoidance by a couple of those drivers. Matos being called out there for that. Kevin Volmar, you know, in the chat. Grassroots Sim Racing, as always, in the chat. Jeff Schmidt, the league owner and organizer. Tim Giles also giving a shout out to Chris Roberge. So definitely give us a shout here on YouTube, as we still have 19 laps to go. Action starting to heat up here at Talladega. That was probably the most violent accident we've seen here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of just extend on what you just said, Peter, really cool to see when friends and family come into the chat and cheer drivers on, because it just shows that this is much more than a video game, much more than a racing league, and everybody, you know, getting everybody involved. It's really cool to see. But absolutely, yeah, that was a pretty big accident. Started by the 13 of Capers and the 2 of Dominic Lee getting together, and kind of just got some more. It got some drivers involved, and it ended up with some drivers on their roof getting into the fence, it looked like. But it's like everything is pretty good, save for the number 2 being parked from the race, and we'll have to see what happened there. It might have been a race control decision on that accident, but either way, pace car lights are off here. We're going to be getting back going green here for the last 17 laps of this race. See if we can get these laps under green. But definitely really cool to see how this race is playing out.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been, you know, a fairly eventful race for all of these drivers, and a couple of drivers, you know, going laps down at one point, now working their way back to the lead lap. We have 15 trucks on the lead lap. Kyle Zimmer, Johnny Berardi, and Chris Roberge all 1 lap down. So hopefully we can see Zimmer, Berardi, and Roberge back on the lead lap. Kyle Zimmer, of course, one of your chase drivers, so there could be some chase implications for Kyle Zimmer if he's unable to get his lap back. But looking at your chase drivers, Dave Wilson currently sitting in 5th. He's your highest place chase driver, excuse me.
And of course, Zimmer was involved in that first accident on the, I believe, 1st or 2nd lap. So just kind of had a rotten day so far, not able to get that lap back. But we've seen him battle back from things before, and I got to imagine if he can get the right break, he will be right back in the thick of things.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we've seen from Digby that he's a fantastic driver throughout this season. So with, you know, a good handful of laps here still left, 18 laps to be exact, well, 17 to go at the line this time. You know, everything is up to play for all of these drivers in the field. This green flag back in the air. That inside line got a great restart with Billy Wise out front. Billy Wise at number 32 has yet to pit. He's got help behind from Doug McCollum in the number 33. The number 24 out there, Matthew Lesniewski, Nate Catilla right behind him. So 2 Chevrolets up on the high side. In fact, it was a Chevrolet 1, 2, 3, 4. But here comes Dave Wilson in the number 20 in the first Toyota out there. He's going to try and see if he can find himself getting to the front. He's got AJ Digby in number 14 right behind him. They're going to be side by side now for about 3rd place on back, with Dave Wilson in that number 20 down there, just to the inside of Lesniewski. Ooh, that outside line broke up just a little bit. Man, these drivers are really trying to lock bumpers here tonight, and we've seen that, you know, catch a couple drivers out. It seems like these trucks, you can't really push with them all too well.
Yeah, you really have to be careful with it. You have to make sure your nose and the bumper of the car in front of you is perfectly aligned. See the 7 of Kevin Paskovich saying, I don't need help, I'm going to go to the outside of all these trucks, and actually has made up some ground, doing a great job. And he's going to get the 3 of Tanner Sharp, and that's Nate Catilla behind him. So they're going to try to make a high line for him, and he's getting a good push from Sharp. Let's see if they can make their way to the lead. This is kind of a tandem thing we were talking about earlier, and I think he is going to be able to make it at least to second place. So that's pushing at its finest right there on board with Tanner Sharp here, doing it exactly right, right on the center of the bumper of the car in front of him. You see he wants to point his nose right at that little Chevy emblem on the bumper. So that's the way to do it. But yeah, if you get the bumper kind of off kilter like you see right here, if you push on those corners, you can really mess up the car in front of you. That's kind of how wrecks happen.
Well, Tanner Sharp definitely probably learning something here for the last few laps of this race, because he's been able to push that number 7 truck pretty much up to at least second position, pretty much just by themselves. And now there's a whole bunch of trucks now joining them on the high side. Looks like Tanner Sharp might be having to duck out here just a little bit to get some cool air on the nose to help cool down that number 3 truck, but he's going to stay tucked up behind Paskovich here as they enter turns number 3 and 4. That inside line prevailing just a little bit. Nate Catilla getting a shot from Doug McCollum on the entry. We're 2x2 all the way back through the field. Pretty much everyone's 2x2. Johnny Berardi has fallen off the lead pack just a little bit in the number 99, but this is a 17 truck freight train here going into turn number 1. Thomas Wise currently sitting the last car out of that group, and I think Thomas Wise might be sizing up because this is a hornet's nest up front.
Yeah, the driver in front of him, Tom Johnson, actually pulled out of the way on the first lap of this restart. You see Kevin Paskovich getting a push from Tanner Sharp here, and they actually have made their way past the bottom line a little bit. So Kevin Paskovich in the lead for just a moment, but here comes the bottom line coming back. But as I was saying, Tom Johnson pulled out of the way on the first lap of this restart, kind of just, nothing wrong with the truck, but just saying, I want to stay out of this mess. And he is, of course, a championship driver, so he's going to want to try to keep his truck as clean as possible. He has been in a few wrecks as of this race so far, so probably just a little bit of strategy there.
13 laps to go at the stripe, and Tanner Sharp still trying to push Paskovich up to the front. They were 3 wide a little bit further back in the pack. Chris Roberge was 3 wide on the high side to the outside of Alan Capers there for just a brief moment. And I think that 98 of Roberge, if he can get someone to go with him, I think he's thinking about running that high line. In fact, there he goes, 3 wide going off into turn number 3. Oh, the 98 scrapes the outside wall just a little bit, loses that momentum. But Alan Capers right on the back bumper now of the 24 of Matthew Lesniewski. So, man, all these trucks, they're just jockeying for position, trying to set themselves into a good position here. As this time by, we'll only have 12 laps to go. Tanner Sharp just trying to find a way to push that number 7 truck to the front, see if they can break free of this inside line, led by Billy Wise, who once again has yet to pit in that number 32 Chevrolet. So we've had a couple of green flag laps. We'll have to see if Billy Wise can hold on for the remainder of this race without pitting.
Absolutely. No, I said the field run might be 30 or so laps. You go, look at this run in the high side. Tanner Sharp pushed the 7 with all he's got. Actually shot him about a car length in front of the 32, but they lost the momentum. And Billy Wise has regained that lead for just a moment, but it looks like the high side is getting a very good run on those straightaways. Tanner is doing all he can to push that 7 car. So really, Tanner is a very good restrictor plate driver himself. He's one of the best that I've raced with personally. He really knows what he's doing as far as pushing goes, and just kind of playing the lines and all that stuff that you need to do here. But those 2 cars on the bottom line, that's Billy Wise and Doug McCollum also doing a fantastic job. McCollum has not really let Billy Wise get off of his bumper, and he's doing a very good job pushing himself.
Yeah, without a doubt, those two just basically 2x2 throughout this entire field. We saw Nate Catilla and the 20th Dave Wilson get really tight on entry into turn number 1, but they were able to stay off each other. So those two trucks, just they're hanging out side by side for, or at least a third row of cars. 5th and 6th position, Wilson just a fraction ahead of
trouble.
Nicotilla.
Capers.
Oh, big wreck. This is the big one. Trucks everywhere on entry into turn number 1. Roberge, Matos, Cochran, Johnson, Capers all involved. We'll have to see if we can get a replay on this one. Oh, looks like Capers might have come down on Roberge just a little bit. And, oof, man, that's a hard hit by Christopher Roberge. Man, look at Thomas Weiss. We have to get an onboard with that number 1 truck. I don't know if he made it through this, but he threaded the needle on the high side. Let's see what happens looking out the nose of the number 1 Chevy Silverado. He sees all the trucks spinning right in front of him. Goes up to the top side. I can't believe he got through that. Oh, no! Oh, man. And Tom Johnson, at the very last moment, came up the track and hit Thomas Wise, but Thomas Wise did a fantastic job there. It just went wrong for him at the last moment.
I tell you what, that is a candidate for avoidance of the year. It's a shame that he got kind of nabbed at the end of that, but my goodness, that is not something that he should have been in that. Let's be real, but that was a good piece of driving.
Well, championship implications, Tom Johnson in number 56 has taken it to the garage. One of your chase drivers has parked his truck, so Tom Johnson unfortunately calling it a night after this one. I'm not quite sure if that truck has sustained too much damage to continue or what, but championship implications definitely for Tom Johnson.
Yeah, and that's a shame. I have to believe he was out of passenger pairs because, like we said just a few laps ago, he did pull to the back of the pack to try to just stay out of the hornet's nest, and I have to imagine that's why he did it, just trying to keep his nose clean. And obviously he was involved in that wreck, so that's a shame. That's not the way he wanted to get this second round of the championship underway. But we do have 2 more races to go yet.
Yeah, Martinsville, that race is definitely going to be a little bit of a wild card, and then after that ISM Raceway, definitely check those races out here on 3 Wide TV. Martinsville will be next week, and then the week after that will be ISM Raceway. And Cameron, you won't be here next Wednesday night, correct? So I think I'll have to do the solo call for that one. Will you be here next Monday night?
I'm actually coming back next Monday, so we'll have to wait and see. I am flying back here at about 4:40-ish in the afternoon, and it's gonna be close if I am. So I would like to be here if I can, but I can't make a promise because of just the way the traffic works and how flight schedules work and all that stuff. So maybe I will definitely try if I can.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see how the flights go. Flights are always interesting, and traffic and all that such. But we're going to be going to the IndyCar race at Circuit of the Americas here coming up. So it'll be pretty cool to see a little bit of the 3 Wide TV crew together and having a good time out at the racetrack. So definitely looking forward to that. As we have 8 laps to go. Billy Wise still out there, still yet to pit. Let's see if we can grab him for an interview. Hey, Billy Wise, Peter Short up in the 3 Wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, man. You have not pitted in this race at all. My graphic is showing me that you have 40 laps on your tires this time by. Any concerns about fuel?
Nope. The tires are getting better and better with each heat cycle, and so yeah, the way the cautions are flying, there's no way we want to lose the position we have now, so we're just going for it.
Yeah, man, it seems like track position has been key tonight, but you were getting challenged there by the 7 of Kevin Pasquich. How are you going to keep that number 32 out front?
Let's see, Doug was doing a great job of pushing, so hopefully he can just not push too aggressive and get me out front.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure you're going to be watching those mirrors closely as these laps wind down, you're probably going to have about, 5 laps to go once we go back to green flag racing. Have you been in this position before, and how do you get that checkered flag?
Oh, I don't know if I've been leading with 5 to go, but I've been up front, and I'm going to have the inside, so all I can really do is just hug that line and keep it buried, throttle down, and just hold my line, and that's all I can do. The rest is up to who's pushing me and what's going on the outside line.
Well, absolutely. It's definitely going to be a little bit tricky, but one thing I do want to ask is a little bit earlier in the race, we had a little bit of a disconnection issue with our TeamSpeak server here. How did that affect you as a driver? Were you able to shake that off and work things out with everyone else on track, or did that affect you greatly?
Oh, no, it was all right. It was a little weird. It was kind of quiet because, us in TeamSpeak, we like to cut up and rag on each other and have a good time. So it was just way too quiet. That was the only bad thing about that.
Absolutely. Well, it definitely went quiet up here in the booth. I know I was trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm sure most of you drivers were as well. Well, as you do go down the back stretch here, Cameron, you got anything further for Billy?
Well, you know what? All I have to say is it's a pretty good looking truck you got tonight, and you proved me wrong, so I will give you that. I thought we had 30-something laps on fuel, and obviously you proved me wrong, so I'll go ahead and admit that now. But just got to say, go out there and get them, keep doing what you're doing, because obviously you're doing something right.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man.
All right, Billy. Well, thank you for joining us here in the 3 Wide TV booth, and best of luck here for the rest of this race. Hopefully you can come home with a checkered flag.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, that was driver of the number 32 machine, Billy Wise, running out there. And Cameron, it's going to be about a 5-lap shootout for these drivers, and I'm sure action's going to heat up.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to say, Billy Wise interview, always a treat, because no matter if he's having a bad day or a good day, always sounds happy to be just racing, so that's pretty awesome. Of course, going for his second SimPossible Racing League win, one in the first year of competition at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, so he's going to want to go out there and get it done tonight. But, like you said, he's going to have 5 laps to do it, and Peter, what 5 laps to go out of Super Speedway means? Really just kind of, there's always that caution possibility, and really that's kind of getting into the realm of the race is probably going to be over after that.
Yeah, I know when you're at this point in the race with only 5 laps to go, there's only one thing on your mind, and that's the checkered flag and trying to get that W. So I'm sure once we do go back to green flag racing, as pace car lights have been turned off, these drivers are going to be going for it. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see some 3-wide action. We saw a couple drivers, in the back of the field, Chris Roberge being one of them, kind of showing his nose out there to see if he could get that third line going. Currently, Roberge sitting in the 16th position. He's actually 3 laps down, unfortunately. Kyle Zimmer in the number 25. I think he's still 1 lap down. I don't think he got the lucky dog, so that's a tough break for Kyle Zimmer. It seems like he's been a lap down for this entire race, and now seeming highly unlikely that he will get back on the lead lap before this is all said and done. But looks like Mark Dingman has taken the number 48 machine to the garage as well. So that'll be an extra spot for Kyle Zimmer, which is what he needs. But as one of the chase drivers and one of the chase hopefuls, definitely a tough night here at Talladega.
Yeah, absolutely. And Talladega, we've said it all night long, it's such a wild card. And if you can come out of this race with a finish, let alone a good finish or anything like that, it's a good night. Just because we've seen the way this race has gone, just unfortunate wrecks happening, but really, it's just a part of the racing here. And sometimes it's no one's fault whatsoever. Sometimes things just happen. So it's that's why we run the races.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Pace car coming down pit road once again. Can say that Alan Capers went down and got the cone this last time by, so rest in peace, cone. But hopefully that's the last cone grabbing we'll have of the night, as These cars now going through the tri-oval. Billy Wise up front, just pacing them 65 miles an hour. A little bit further back, a couple of trucks lagging back just a little bit as the green flag flies back in the air. Everyone hard on the gas. Look at that restart by Billy Wise. Got Doug McCollum tucked up right behind him. And looks like Paskowicz gonna draw level with him off into turns number 1 here. Almost said turn 3, not quite turn 3 yet. But Doug McCollum in the 33 is giving that number 32 a shot coming out of turn number 2. But look at that momentum that a high line got as Paskowicz getting that bump from Tanner Sharp. We saw those two trucks really strong together.
Yeah, one thing I saw on that start was the 3 and the 33, both trucks behind the respective front 2 truck, behind the 7 and the 32. They both bumped the drivers on the green flag, so we're just really trying to shove those 2 trucks out there and get all they can. It looks like the 3 and the 7 on the high side are a little bit more formed up, but there is more cars on the bottom, so that's going to play well into Billy Wise's chances here. And actually, here comes Kevin Paskowicz. He's got a pretty good run with the 3 behind him. Doug McCollum has been Billy Wise's best friend for most of the latter half of this race. Been tucked up on his bumper, but those 2 trucks on the outside not going away. They have a very good run and a very good pusher in that 3 car of Tanner Sharp. And they also have help from the 4 of Nate Catilla, so we'll have to wait and see how this plays out.
A little bit back behind those front 4 trucks. Dave Wilson currently sitting in the 5th position. He's trying to get help from AJ Digby. Nate Catilla to his outside. Catilla in the 4, the first truck right behind the 3 of Tanner Sharp. It's all contact. Paskowicz is around. Up in the front, the 3 of Tanner Sharp. That will end this race. Trucks still going everywhere. This is the second big one. Paskowicz hard in the inside wall. Trucks everywhere. That will give the race win to Billy Wise, as there's no time to go back to green flag racing here. Doug McCollum will finish 2nd, it looks like, and Digby possibly 3rd. We'll have to see when things all shake out, but there was a little bit of contact there from Tanner Sharp and Paskowicz, and it was on from there.
Yeah, that just looked like a typical Talladega bumper up there. Nothing Tanner was trying to do wrong. He just, see, he hit right there, hit the 7 in the left rear corner, and it just sent him around. So, nothing he did wrong, just trying to push that truck ahead of him as much as he can, and that's kind of just what happens there. Just, it's Talladega. It's Talladega for you.
Yeah, tough luck for, a couple of those drivers who got involved with riding on board here. I think this is the 24, Matthew Lesniewski. Oh, just nowhere to go. What a hard hit with that outside wall. You spin me right, baby, right round. And my goodness, that number 24 machine looks like he's going to end up smoking to finish this one. Paskowicz has retired from the event. Hopefully he will be back next week, but I know that's going to be heartbreak for him. Dave Wilson in the 20 getting involved. There's the number 13 of Alan Capers sliding through, the 4 of Catilla going around. Oof, Catilla and 13 almost getting together once again, and almost getting there together with the number 98 of Christopher Burge. But a lot of trucks involved in that one. In fact, I would say pretty much the back half of the field, pretty much every truck that was still running besides Billy Wise, Doug McCollum, and AJ Digby got a piece of that accident.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just there's nowhere to go here, and we're riding on board here with Alec Capers. You're just piling up in front of you, and you can't make an evasive move real quick because you're probably going to run into someone else. So there's just nowhere to go. And
I want to see if we can get an onboard with Kevin Cochran in the number 80 machine, because he kind of had a Days of Thunder moment getting through that accident, and man, we'll see this here. You see, he somehow found a way to get through that mess in that number 80 machine. A really impressive job there by Cochran. You see as he goes on board. Remember, he's one of the chase drivers. He was 11th at the start-finish line on this lap, and the track just opens up for him right in front, and he went all the way from the 11th spot up to 4th. So, really impressive run for Kevin Cochran there at the end. Actually, iRacing has shuffled a few cars around based on where they were when the caution flag did fly. So, you see a couple of trucks there. The Kevin Cochran in number 80, he's actually now currently in the 6th position, just went off the right side of your screen there. But Billy Wise, 0 pit stops this entire race, and he's going to come home and take the checkered flag. I'm sure he's going to be pretty ecstatic. Doug McCollum right behind him, and Dave Wilson in third.
Yeah, and it looks like we'll have to save a few replays from this race with those avoidances, of course, with Tom Johnson and then there with Kevin Cochran, like you said. We call that keeping your foot in it, and he definitely did that. It was quite impressive, but gonna be your winner right there. That is Billy Wise, his second SimPossible Racing League win after we run these one in one straightaway pace laps, because we are going to get the white flag here, and really did everything right. Just kind of stayed out, used the no pit strategy, because apparently I was wrong on my fuel numbers, but that 33 truck behind him doing a very good job as well, kind of his wingman, pushing him, doing a great job himself, and got to think that Billy is going to be thanking him for his efforts for this race today.
Yeah, it's always a good thing when you win a race at a super speedway and your pusher finishes second. I know there have been many races where you get out front and then the person who pushed you out front gets involved in some kind of wreck or some kind of accident, and sometimes you end up with a little bit of guilt at one of these races, but luckily Billy Wise and Doug McCollum can celebrate after this one. And from a championship standpoint, I'll just kind of give you an idea of where your championship contenders are most likely going to end up here tonight. Dave Wilson will most likely end up finishing the highest finisher of the lot. He's currently in the 3rd position. AJ Digby, he had an up-down night, but he's going to come home in the 5th position. Kevin Cochran, with that epic wreck avoidance, went from 11th to 6th on the last lap. Kyle Zimmer, in the number 25 machine, he's back in 11th. And I forgot Nate Catilla, but Nate Catilla, the 4th truck, is in the 4th position, so he's going to come home with a good finish, splitting Dave Wilson and AJ Digby. And then we documented it earlier, but Tom Johnson at number 56, he will finish in the 18th position, 8 plus laps down. He has retired from the event. So good run by Dave Wilson, Nate Catilla, AJ Digby, Kevin Cochran, those 4 drivers. There's only 4 drivers that end up going to the season finale with a shot at winning the title, and Wilson, Catilla, Digby, and Cochran definitely showing a little bit of strength here tonight at Talladega, and Zimmer and Tom Johnson will have some work cut out for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be interesting these next 2 races, because of course both of them very different tracks to this and very different tracks to each other. So Martinsville and Phoenix going to be those are 2 races, Cameron. Learn to count. 2 races to look forward to, and of course going to be right here on 3 Wide TV as always. But we are coming down to the checkered flag. Pace car is going to lead them past checkered flag, and right behind them is going to be that driver right there. And Carlos has the kazoos ready. We all got our kazoos ready, got our birthday hats and our cake. But what a good job done by that 32 truck. Billy Wise, he's going to come across the line and score his 2nd SimPossible Racing League win tonight at the Talladega 62. What a great job by him, and just what a great race overall. We saw a lot here tonight, and pretty sure he's going to be happy about that. Going to come around and probably burn those tires down, because they're already pretty burnt. They're 47 laps old, and that fuel tank has to be somewhat empty, but it doesn't matter now because he has won the race.
Yeah, Billy Wise getting his 2nd victory in his 28th SimPossible career start. So great to see that for that number 32 truck. He now becomes, at this present moment in time, the 4th most winningest SimPossible series driver with his 2nd career SimPossible win. That'll be his first win this season in the MS4 Truck Series, so pretty cool to see that. As he's going to slow down here through the tri-oval. He does have Nate Catilla right behind him. Those 2 Wise Guys Racing Team teammates, the number 32 and the 4, as Billy Wise lights them up here for the crowd on the front stretch. It's kind of hard to do donuts here at Talladega with such high gearing and such high banking, but Billy Wise definitely showing us how to make some smoke.
Yeah, and you gotta think he's happy. He's had a lot of good runs over the past few weeks that have just been really killed in the last few laps of the race. He had a top 5 run going at Vegas until like about 5 laps to go or so. So really gonna be probably happy to get that win and just happy to get a good run because he has had a lot of bad luck himself.
You saw the 66 there of Brian Lowhead. He's another one of those Wise guys drivers, and he had a pretty good night. Comes home in the 7th position after starting shotgun on the field. So we didn't get to talk much about Brian Lowhead, but he comes home with a very respectable 7th place finish as Nate Catilla continues to make some smoke here. As we'll try and see if we can get some interviews with some of these drivers. In fact, we got the 3rd place driver of Dave Wilson. Cameron Rich has caught up with him.
Dave Wilson, Rich, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, well, we saw you take the pole for tonight's event with your teammate on the outside. Kind of an up and down night for really you and the rest of the field. Looks like you got involved in some incidents yourself, and there was some stuff on the track, but came back to finish a very strong 3rd, and most importantly for you, the first of the chase drivers. So just go ahead and kind of go through your night in your own eyes.
Yeah, it started off really well, and I led a couple laps there, and I decided to come into the pits just to get to the back. I prefer to be pushing other people than being pushed myself. That's just a personal preference thing, but once I did that, it seemed like I was getting caught up in a little bit of stuff there, but I was luckily able to get a 3rd place out of this race. It was definitely a tough one. It was an up and down night, as you said, for a lot of people here, and unfortunately the caution laps do take quite a bit of time, so it was definitely a bit harder to race this one than most races, but it was still a good race overall, and these guys do an awesome job every week.
Yeah, you said you were kind of up and down through the field. Did you really feel like there was a safe place to be, whether it was at the front or at the back, or you know, as a driver yourself, just where did you kind of want to run?
There wasn't really that much of a safe place, but the best spot I found that to run was usually in the middle on the inside line. Usually if there was a wreck ahead of you, most trucks would fly to the outside, so you could just go dip onto the apron and try to avoid most of the wreck.
Yeah, one thing I want to ask you is the winner Billy Wise actually did not take a pit stop this race, so you know, we have to imagine that the caution laps did figure into that. But was there ever an issue with fuel if we were going to go green, or even tires? Because you know, we know tires are not that big of an issue here, but just kind of how did the truck handle?
Yeah, the fuel would have been a problem. I think you could have only gone around 38 to 40 laps on one tank, so if it did go green the entire way, we would have had a caution near the end with about 10 laps to go. You would have seen people putting in duos or just a big pack, but I know mine and Chris's goal this race is if it did go green the entire way, we would have hit with around 15 laps to go and took 2 right side tires as well as a bit of fuel just to make it to the end.
All right, well, you know, getting your chase for the championship second round really off to a pretty good start. You are the highest finishing championship eligible driver, so definitely a good start. But we do have the short track of Martinsville next week. We go from the biggest track to the shortest track. How are you looking forward to that event?
I do enjoy short track racing, and personally I find Martinsville is one of my favorite tracks on iRacing and in real life in general. So I am looking forward to next week, and I hope that I can get a good finish out of it.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna let you go here in just a minute, but before we do, you know, you got some shoutouts for us, so let's hear them.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys up here in the booth, as I do almost every week that I'm up here doing an interview, just because you guys do an awesome job every week commentating and broadcasting this race. We always love to, all of us drivers love to go back and watch these races afterwards, just to see what unfolded throughout the rest of the pack, as whenever you're racing you can only really see your view, and sometimes you don't get to see too much if you're at the front, or if you're at the very back you don't get to see the big battles, so it's definitely always a good experience to go back and watch it. I'd also like to thank Jeff Schmidt, the owner of SimPossible, for making these possible every single week. Like I said before, it's always a blast every time we race with these people. We're all becoming one big family, it seems, and each week seems to be getting better and better and better. I'd also like to congratulate everybody out here to get that raced. It was definitely one of the tougher races this week, or this season, and we did our best, and I'd like to say during the non-pace laps it was some good racing.
All right, David. Well, as always, thank you so much for talking to us, and we hope to talk to you again next week.
Yep, thank you.
All right, that was your third place finisher tonight, David Wilson, and I do think that I don't think we have Doug McCollum for an interview, so Peter Short has caught up with your winner, Billy Wise.
Billy Wise, Peter Short here in the 3Y TV booth. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, man.
All right, well, you're sitting down there in Victory Lane here at Talladega Super Speedway, and man, let me tell you, I thought the no pit stop strategy was a pretty gutsy call, but you said there was no concern about fuel, and you definitely made it all the way to the end. No pit stops the entire race, getting the checkered flag done. Talk us through the race, because it was a pretty crazy race. There was a lot of action behind you.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of action behind me. I got hooked up with Nate for a little bit. We were together in the front there, and then we did get separated, and just with all the cautions that came out, once we got toward the front and I did get the lead, there was just no way I could give up that track position. So I gambled and said we're staying out, and that's what we did.
Yeah, well, it was quite the gamble, but it did pay off. That track position definitely showing that it was key. How did the trucks drive tonight? It seemed like that they were pretty grippy, especially with this track temperature.
I thought they drove great. Yeah, we had a lot of cautions. I think people were just being a little aggressive there, trying to get to the front, but the truck handled awesome, especially with Doug there. I owe Doug a big thanks. He was pushing me just great the last, I don't even know how many laps, but he was pushing perfect. And without that, the 7 probably would have got by us on the outside, because I think he did pit once or twice, and he did have fresher tires. But even with the old tires, it was grippy. It was fine.
It definitely looked, quite a bit of fun to drive from up here in the booth, especially with all that clean air that you got on the nose. Well, we have Martinsville next week. It's the tricky paperclip of all tracks. And what are your thoughts about Martinsville? Definitely a lot different than the Super Speedway here at Talladega.
Oh yeah, definitely way different. Kind of narrow, and with the narrow stretches there, hopefully we don't have a lot of cautions. Hopefully we can get stretched out and do some racing, but some short track racing will be a lot of fun too. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Well, that race will be here on 3Y TV next week. Definitely, I'm looking forward to it as well. Well, before we let you go, Billy, I know you got some shout-outs for us, and, your Wise Guys teammates definitely having a good showing tonight.
Oh, you're a Wise Guy. Yeah, we got DAV on the truck tonight, disabled American veterans, so big shout-out to them. And really just Jeff Schmidt for... he's got an awesome league. This is a really cool thing we have going on here. There's really nothing else like it on iRacing. So if you do know someone that's disabled and gets into racing, have them get a hold of us, and we'll hook them up. We'll get them out here racing. And then the Wise Guys and you guys, 3Y TV up there, you guys do an amazing job every week for us.
All right, Billy. Well, congratulations on your second career SimPossible Racing League win. I hope you enjoy it for another week before we hit the track at Martinsville, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again next week.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's your race winner from tonight's race here at Talladega Superspeedway, Billy Wise, and now Cameron Rich has caught up with league owner and organizer Jeff Schmidt.
Yeah, I got him, the man himself. Jeff Schmidt, you got a copy?
I sure do, Cameron.
All right, well, that's round number 1 of the that is race number 1 of round 2. I gotta learn my numbers because up here in the booth we can't do that very well, but that is race 1 of round 2 done, and what a race it was. Had everything. Had a few crashes, a few wrecks here and there, and some good racing throughout the field. So, Talladega always puts on a good show, and Billy Wise coming home with the win. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no doubt. Talladega is just insane. You never know what's going to happen. These guys did a good job. There was, quite a few cautions, and they always seem longer at Talladega because they are pacing around here at this big racetrack. It feels like forever, but these guys did an amazing job, and the cautions, they weren't intentional, and things happen in this kind of racing when you go plate racing at a track like this. So overall, I'm happy with the race, and I think the guys did a great job of pushing hard and trying to get those trucks going as fast as they can, and getting on each other's bumpers there.
Yeah, we were kind of noticing at the end of the race how well those guys were pushing. Of course, Doug was all over the back bumper of Billy Wise, and I think Tanner was pushing the 7 truck, so really good pushing there. But anyway, next week we have the short track of Martinsville, so I think that's going to be quite a different race. And I love short tracks, and a lot of our viewers here at 3 TV love short tracks. And a lot of drivers love short tracks, so I think that's going to be a pretty awesome show to watch.
Yeah, talk about from one extreme to another. From Talladega to Martinsville, it's going to take some adjusting for the drivers to adapt to that, from going from one to the other. But yeah, Martinsville is personally my favorite track. Some guys love it, some guys hate it. It's the smallest track in the NASCAR circuit, and it produces really good racing. You just have to know when to brake and try not to get in that guy in front of you, because it's really easy to do there. And with short track racing like Bristol, people can get upset pretty quick, but I think everyone will be all right. And we'll just see what happens. It being a chase race, obviously, it's gonna be really important to where these 6 chase drivers finish in that race. As today did as well. Congrats to Billy for winning, and it wasn't one of our 6 chase drivers, so no one's guaranteed a spot at this moment to our final round at Homestead. So we'll see what happens. If one of those chase drivers wins at Martinsville, they'll automatically be going to Homestead, and the other guys will have to either try to get a win or points race in.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's always something that needs to be on everyone's mind, and that championship is very heated up right now, so nothing's really set in stone. It's gonna be awesome to see how that plays out for the rest of the season. But as far as the Wednesday things go, I do believe we are at Auto Club, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong with that, or yeah, we are at Auto Club. So I love that track. It's a really cool track to go to, and I know a lot of these drivers are having fun switching back and forth between the B cars and the trucks, just kind of doing something different, and they're putting on a good show over on that side of the things too, and it's good to see that series also taking off pretty strong.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The B car series has been amazing. The racing has been extraordinary. I believe Auto Club, this will be our first time as a league going there, I'm pretty sure, and it's going to be interesting how that plays out. I couldn't tell you really. I mean, I have no idea how the guys are going to do there. They do awesome everywhere they go, so I know that's going to be the case no matter what. But it's going to be interesting. The last couple of B car races have just been amazing. So yeah, really excited for Wednesday.
Absolutely, and we always have SimPossible Racing League races here on 3xTV Mondays and Wednesdays, and always a good show to watch. And Jeff Schmidt, awesome guy, runs the league, and we enjoy working with him very much. But Jeff, before we let you go, we know you got some shout outs and some thanks to give some people, so let's hear them.
Absolutely, and I truly appreciate the kind words. It means a lot. This league to me means everything, and you know, I have nothing but love for all these guys and what we've done with it. So I'll continue to do what we do and to try to make it as awesome as it can be. But again, thank you for the kind words. It's truly appreciated. And for you guys with 3Y TV, you guys have done an awesome job with us, and I couldn't thank you enough for what you do. The broadcasts look amazing. The camera angles are amazing. The commentating is amazing. There's literally nothing about it that I would change. You guys are rocking and rolling up there in the booth, man. So thank you very much for that. And MS Forward with Daryl Kuchera for sponsoring our truck series. Big, huge thanks to him to do what he's done for us to help us out. Go to msforward.org and check them out, or MS Forward on Facebook. Awesome programs that they got going on. It's a gym that's dedicated to help individuals with disabilities, and they got some awesome stuff going on. So check them out, msforward.org. And yeah, if you are a driver with disabilities and want to sign up for this league, go to SimPossibleRacing.com and fill out a driver sign-up form, and we can have you out here on track. But again, thank you to the family, friends of the drivers themselves, and everyone else involved here. It's been a blessing.
Absolutely, and as always, Jeff, we thank you for talking to us, and you know, it makes it easier to commentate when you guys put on such good races, and you know, we love watching them as fans, you know, as fans first, and just kind of being able to talk about cartoon race cars. It's pretty cool, because this is definitely more than just a league. It's a bunch of friends who just like to go out there race, and you can definitely tell with the way they do things, and it's really cool to see. But I do think we have some results from our guy himself, Carlos Costa. Gonna put them up on the screen here in just a moment. We see on the screen right there. Yep, Billy Wise, he's home with the win tonight. Doug McCollum, his wingman at the end, finishing second place. Dave Wilson, your first championship driver, he finishes third. Nate Catilla, another one of championship drivers, fourth, as well as AJ Digby coming home with a top 5. Kevin Cochran, also a championship driver, so we got 4 in a row there. He's coming home 6. Brian Lowhead started shotgun on the field. He is the perennial shotgun driver, just doesn't like to qualify, but that doesn't hamper him. He's going to come home in 7th. Thomas Wise coming to come home in 8th. Tanner Sharp in 9th, and Johnny Berardi rounded out the top 10.
In the 11th position was another one of the chase drivers, Kyle Zimmer, who was just able to get back on the lead lap right there when we got that last caution with just a few laps to go. Matthew Lesniewski comes home 12th, 2 laps down. He was involved in that last accident. Fernando Matos finishing in the 13th position. Alan Capers finishing 14th. Kevin Paskowicz 15th. We saw him up at the front most of the night. Christopher Burge 16th. Mark Dingman finishes 17th. Tom Johnson, another one of your chase drivers and your lowest finishing of the chase drivers, he finishes 18th, so definitely a lot of work to do over the next 2 races at Martinsville and ISM Raceway for Tom to see if he can have a shot in the final 4. And rounding out tonight's field, the number 2 of Dominic Lee. Well, Cameron, I think, all these drivers, the big wild card race, Talladega is now behind him, and some of the other drivers now will start looking towards the last few races, Martinsville, ISM Raceway, and rounding out the season at Homestead, Miami, to get those last few wins and see if you're in the hunt for the championship, see if you can get yourself a championship when it's all said and done.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course the best way to ensure that you go to Homestead is just to go out there and get a win, so all these drivers are going to want to be doing that in these next 2 races, and 2 tracks that really are polarizing in their sense that a lot of drivers either love or hate them. But that's all we got for you tonight here for the SimPossible Racing League. We had 47 laps of the trucks at this Talladega Superspeedway. What a great race that was put on by them. I want to thank SimTV for their cameras as we do each and every week, for giving us those great angles to show you here on the broadcast. But Peter, gonna be looking forward to that. And of course, check us out on Wednesday night. We have Auto Club for you with the B cars, and as always, Mondays are trucks for these guys. But I'm Cameron Rich. This is Peter Short, Carlos Acosta in the booth. We bid you farewell and good night.